I have the nose skin riveted in place as much as I can. Still got the top skin clecoed in place just like on the other wing. That will come off when I start it again. We still have to install the fuel tanks. Any electrical wiring we have to put in. We have to plumb pitot tube in one wing. And that's why why the top skin is still clecoed in place. Nose skin went on, it lays down very nice. It's all riveted in place. Everything looks really good. I was a little bit concerned because when I was working with this sheet, I just beat the crap out of it. I put several smileys in it and a couple little dinks in it, just little, not quite as smiley, but a little bend in them in different places. And I was very concerned that when I got it on here, it was going to show those and not really be what I wanted it to be, up to the point where I would have probably kind of been ashamed to actually show it. Once it's on there and stressed to its proper position and everything, and I did smooth them out as best I could when I still had it on the table. And I still have a couple little ones. There's a little dink right here and one right here that shows up, but they're not anything that's going to affect anything. I'm not disappointed with that at all. So I'm very happy the way that came out. Everything else on the bottom and the top is riveted in place. All of the strut fittings and everything have been riveted and bolted in place, so the bottom is done. When we get to finishing out the skins, they'll still have to be finished up, riveted on the top, and then trailing edges on the back of them. The next thing is going to be wingtip skin and root rib skin, and I'm going to do the root rib skin next just because it's right here on this end. So everything is really good. One thing that I will note, be sure when you clean up your skins and prep them, whether you're priming them or not, if you plan on painting them, be sure and clean off your Sharpie marks really well. Those will transfer through a lot of top coats. You know, even some of the sealers, why that Sharpie coloring will just bleed right on through. So be sure and wipe those off. You know, it's not, on most things, you know, internally it's not an issue at all, but on the outside, if you're painting and want something to look nice, be sure you clean off those Sharpie marks. I use acetone. Well, we're going to fit our root rib skin, or our root skin, on top here, and this is our angle it's going to fit in here. And this is a 7V9-3A is the number for it. Take them flat in the first 400 millimeter because we're straight up along through here. And what's going to happen is this is going to slide in right there to that distance. We're going to go along and mark our rivet lines all the way along as far as we can. And this angle will slide underneath those skins like that and come down, and then our skin will mount here. So I just put a mark 20 millimeters up because I know that's how far it goes down underneath the skin. And we're just going to put it alongside for right now. And we have a little quickie clamp here, just to hold it in place. And we're just going to clamp that down right there. And then we want to go along and mark our rivet line because we're going to match our rivets. These are A4 pitch 50, I believe is what they are. So we're just going to mark that rivet line on out here so we've got it. And that way we'll know where we can and can't crimp as we go along. And it won't matter at the beginning of this because it's straight. But once we get up here, we can put our crimps in between. This will lay out our rivet line since we've already got it laid out on the skin. And we just want to place our crimps in between until it slides underneath all the way along. And we'll just slowly start working it in there here as soon as we get these laid out. So I'm going to go ahead and start working this underneath just a little bit. And it will set right in between there. slowly start crimping this down. And as we start running these crimps in here, you'll notice it rolls the edge down over the top. Gets a little more difficult on the nose ribs than it does out here, but the system's the same all the way through. Now I believe I'm going to go back, oh, excuse me, I'm going to go back and check the plans and make sure our pitch is the same. Well, I know it's going to be all the way along around the nose. So we can just start working that down. Come on now. Getting a little too aggressive there. Carried away with that one. I can get over here so you can still see and I can still work. Like that. Once we get it down here where we want it, we trim it to match this piece down underneath. And I think we better go ahead and lay that out and at least start shortening that up. Even if we have to change it later on. We're going to leave it a little bit long here so that we definitely have to go back and trim it. will do is I'm going to trim this nose rib back, because it's that way we can keep our rivet spacing. Otherwise we're a little bit too close for edge distance on the other edge of this. That back where I believe it should be, about where it should be. That's going to fit in there. That's going to rivet down nicely. And we're going to be crimped a little bit too hard here on this end, I believe. And straighten part of that out. Because ultimately what we're going to want is a straight angle between here and here. So we're crimped in a little bit too tight right there. Yeah, we need to bring this out just a little bit. So we'll have to massage this to match. But that gets us about where we want to be. I'm going to pull it back out and I'm going to center line on our rib underneath there. Then we can go ahead, and we need to trim this up and get our rivet holes put in here so we can cleco this piece on. Then we'll go ahead and finish massaging this to get our ankles good all the way along, because this is going to come just like that onto our root rib. That's going to look pretty good up to there. Now once we get up here, we're going to have to bring this back up. But if we get this clecoed in place, then we know that we've got this position to where it's not going to move, and we can go ahead and adjust our angle a little bit off of that. Otherwise I think that looks okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'll do that off camera. Like I say, we're just going to center line it and put it back underneath. We'll drill and cleco it in place and then go from there. I've gone ahead and we've got this drilled and clecoed in place. I've adjusted my angles on it so we've got good matching angles coming off of here onto here. I've got my rivet lines to match the other side, with the exception of right up here, and I've made about 4 little adjustments to where I'm going to place the rivets up here, which means they're not going to be exactly in line, but I want to get back onto the center of our of this main spar. And so we're going to move this rivet back just a little bit, and we're going to move that one and these two back just a little bit too, to get away from these crimps. Otherwise everything looks really good here. I've laid out my rivet line, and I've already center punched them with an automatic center punch. I'm going to drill those number 40, and our wing skin will set on here, our root skin will sit on here just like this. I've already drilled the last 2 holes, and I've set my lines, and I've got my rivet line across here. So I'm going to go ahead, and first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and drill these number 40 along here. Then we're going to rivet this, or we're going to cleco this back in place, and we're just going to start working all the way up. I'll mark our rivet lines here, and we'll get these drilled with number 40. So we're going to go through here and through here to get them affixed, and we'll match our rivet lines, or our rivet lines off of these here. So we'll get that spacing. Then we'll go back and take a hole finder and just run it under the edge of the skin into this top rib, and we can drill and cleco our clecos along there. So that will get us up to this point here, or just about this point. We're going to have to do some more trimming here, but I think we've got lots of material and everything, so I'm not going to be concerned about that. I'm going to go ahead and get the back set in place. So that's where we're at for right now. So we'll go ahead and drill these, and everything's all set up to do that. Okay. So now with that done, we can set our skin in place. Now on final assembly, it'll go on top of this skin, but to line it up and drill all our holes while we put it underneath. So that's where that's going to mount. And we're lined up the way we want to be there, so we're just going to start center punching about every third hole or so. And let me get some 3/32 Clecos here. And we're gonna want to work this pretty evenly all the way up, so that we stay tight all the way up. Like I say, we can get to right up here and have everything lay pretty good. Okay, so we've got it positioned. Let's go ahead and mark our lines across the top. And we're going to go ahead and center punch them too. We'll go to right there, and we'll have to start trimming right in here as we come around. Let's see here, and maybe we'll just center punch those as we go along. rather than hunt that third one, let's go back and pick up our first one here. Then we're laid out enough we can go ahead and drill and cleco these. Before we get too carried away here, let's go back and look at our edge spacing. That looks good. I'm just going to keep working that right on up the front until we get up to this point here. So let me go ahead and do that. It's just a rinse and repeat all the way along until we get up there, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. I thought I'd come back and show you a little bit, just because I've got a big dip right here at this point in time. That, if you're scratch building, really isn't anything to be exceptionally concerned about. By the time everything is disassembled, reassembled a couple of times, drilled the final hole size, and we get ready to rivet it, why, most of that will take care of itself. When I first started back here, I had a big dish right in through here. But once it gets formed the way it's supposed to be and stresses on the structure or on the skeleton, why, it will tension itself and lay itself pretty well flat. Now, this also is a couple of things. One of them is probably I need to bring this flange up just a little bit on the root rib itself, and then here on our angle here, probably right here at these 2 points, if I bring that flange up just a little bit, that will probably take care of that. So let's just go ahead and go back and pull a few of these, because I think it's these two right here. I think probably this area, this one, and this one. If I just bring those up just a little bit, that will pretty much eliminate that whole problem right there. See how this has moved back through this area? So now my crease is right in through here. And it may very well have worked itself out as I went ahead and finished riveting the front, but let's go ahead and see if we can't just bring this up just a little bit. If we go right back and cleco that down, let's see what it looks like here. Now, one of the other things is you are better off, get down there, to go ahead and pretty well rivet this line down before you start running here on this rib, because what happens is it will pull a little bit and it'll start to walk your skin away. So this line is our constant up here. We know where it's already set in place. We can't do anything as far as the skin or anything else, so we want this line to be relatively straight all along there. There again, it will start to lay itself down a little bit better once we drill it to final size and all that good stuff. Let's see, we've got our divot right here. But if we start bringing this down into place, see how our line's starting to work back out here. As we get it situated, why it will lay itself down even better.